Welcome everybody to Mercy and Miracles. This is my friend of probably 7 years now.
About 7 years.
Yes, Jason Nemes. And we actually connected through fitness. We were both in the wellness fitness world. And now he's a serial entrepreneur, an incredible, passionate speaker, and he just wrote his first book. So welcome, Jason.
Thank
Yes,
you very
there
much.
it is.
I figured it would be a good touch to put it right
I
there.
love it. I have it. I have it here too.
Hey, let's go.
Ready to promote.
Let's go. But yeah, I'm super grateful to be on here. So thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So before I get into what really made me reach out to you to do this, we're doing our show on Mercy and Miracles. And we won't start with it, but Jason had an insane miracle in his life that, yes, thank the Lord. I cannot wait to bring this full circle. But Jason, let's just backtrack. I'm a mindset coach, so I absolutely love getting to know people's backstory. So if you could just walk me through your childhood growing up and how that started to shape your life as an adult.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm from Plano, Texas. If you aren't familiar with where that is, it's a little suburb. Well, I say little. It was little then. It's not so little now. Of Dallas, Texas. And I mean, I had a pretty good childhood growing up. My parents split when I was early, but they never used me against each other. That's a thing that happens often, I feel, these days, or probably even back then. But so I always saw my dad. Like, my dad was a present parent. I was with my mom. They had a good relationship, co-parented very well. I had a stepdad growing up. It was great for a while, turned out to be not so great. I ended up moving in with my dad when I was 16. Of course, still was in contact with my mom. I mean, all the time. She's like my best friend. So graduated Plano West Senior High School and was in and out of community college like crazy. I didn't really have a passion for it. And so I wouldn't really go. And then got into doing some work. I found some work that I felt was pretty good. And I say work like other than waiting tables. So I was actually door knocking. I did that for a while and I had some pretty great success. And then at 23, things kind of went the opposite way and weren't so great. Basically, we weren't getting any new leads for what we were selling and everything tanked. Ended up moving back into my mom's house at 23. Got kicked out, which all of this is in the book.
Yes, it is.
But I got kicked out because I didn't hold my end of the bargain. And at the time, I was very upset with my mom. But looking back, I'm so grateful that she did that. Right. And so I went back to school at 23 because that's what society teaches us to do, be in school and then get a degree, go into the corporate world. So at 23, I went back to school. I have a business economics degree from the University of North Texas. And I'll tell you, the high school that I went to, man, these kids were like loaded, the parents, the West Plano, very, very wealthy. And we were like poor compared to the kids at my school. And so I always had this ambition of doing something massive. I just didn't know what, because I mean, I go to my friends' houses and it would just be like, oh my gosh. I mean, some people never see homes like this, except for the movies, and they were my friends' parents' houses. So, but I didn't live like that, and I always had this ambition, like, I'm going to do something to make it happen one day. I just never knew what it would look like. So yeah, I went to school, got the degree. While I was in school, I bartended. I made pretty good money, $4,000 to $5,000 a month, and get into the corporate world, working 60 hours a week, making $2,000 a month. And now I'm frustrated with life. And then April 2013, something great happened, ran into an individual who presented me with an opportunity. And at this time I said yes. And so I've been in entrepreneurship now for 9 years and I haven't looked back.
So walk me through that. I know you talk about it in your book. You were not allowed to leave till y'all hit 450,000 in sales. Was that kind of that moment that just really like made you think, what the F am I doing? Like I need to do something different. I need to make a power shift. Was that
Well,
kind of that moment where you were stepping into entrepreneurship?
yeah, so that's a great question. And I don't know if you have a great memory or you have notes or both, but very
So that's
nice.
my memory.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So I went to an event, a conference, and I heard two things at that conference that really shifted my perspective forever. We were not put on this earth to go to work, pay bills, and die.
Yes.
And you can work to build your dreams, or somebody will hire you to build theirs.
Mm.
And when I heard those two things, and it's funny because looking back, it's like I had heard those things before, but it didn't really hit me because for me, I had life figured out. I hadn't graduated college yet, and I hadn't been in the corporate world yet. And by the way, I just got to say it. If you're in the corporate world and you love what you do, at the end of the day, that is truly what matters, is that you wake up with peace of mind, you love what you do, and you're excited about the day. So when I say, work in the corporate world and I hated it, this is just my experience. And I just want to make sure I put that out there. So, yeah. So I heard those two things at the event, but now it's like I had graduated school. I'm in the corporate world. I'm adulting, as we say. So now when I heard that, I was like, man, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because it's like, this is the path that I'm going down right now. And so then after that, it was Monday that this happened. So yeah, we were at $425,000 in sales for the day, and they wouldn't let us leave until we hit 450,000. And I was just like, man, that is so crazy. Like, I'm getting paid $2,000 a month after taxes, and here we are generating almost $500,000 a day.
One day.
And it's like, I can't leave. At this point, I'm 27 years old, and I feel like a child. It's like I'm in a prison kind of thing. You can't leave until you do these. And then so we were there an extra hour, hit tons of traffic. It took like an hour and a half to get home. And then it just hit me like, man, this is not what I want my future to look like. This is not how I want life to be. So it's time to make a change.
Wow, that's incredible. And honestly, I mean, that's too like where God moves, because it takes you almost at your absolute breaking point to even be able to receive the people that he sends into our life, like your mentor Tim, or anybody else that came into your life. Because
So
even
true.
then you were like, okay, I'm this fitness guy, I'm going to move to California, I'm going to pursue modeling. And I can relate to that, because I've done all of the fitness modeling thing, and this is what I'm going to do. And making sure your body was perfect. And so you had this dream and this plan, right? And then you get there and you get the call about another opportunity, and then you walk through that door. Just
Yeah.
were you fearful of it, or did you just say, let's go, have nothing
Oh,
to lose?
I was definitely scared, but I was clear at that point, like really clear, that if I'm gonna take a chance on something, I might as well be myself, because I'm the only thing that I can control at period. I'm the only thing that I can control. I can't control anything else that's happening, but I can control me and what I do, how I think, how I act, all of it.
Yeah.
And so, I picked up and I moved to Oklahoma because he offered to mentor me very closely. And as I was scared, I knew that I was in good hands. Have faith or fear. You can't have both. And so I was operating out of faith. And I was like, I have an incredible mentor, and it's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right cat.
I love
Hey,
that.
in school, like, you get in trouble for copying, but when it comes to being successful, you just duplicate somebody that has the success. So, I looked up to him. He had accomplished some incredible things, and I knew that if I take what he tells me and put it to action, that the same was possible for me. I just had to be willing to do the work, not just the work on the outside, but more importantly, the work on the inside.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And that's funny. I don't know if you know much of my story, and it's not about me, but I also moved to Oklahoma to be
From
close to
where?
it. From here in Texas.
Okay, got it.
I went to school, University of North Texas also.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they were just like, Jen, get here. And I also did the same thing and mentored under them for 2 years. So I think that that's honestly a key, is being able to take those leaps of faith into trusting yourself. Because when you can't trust anybody else, you need to at least be able to trust yourself. And I
Absolutely.
knew that doing that, no matter what came my way, that it was still me making that decision. And I was 100% supporting that all the way.
For sure.
So that's
Yep.
amazing. So now, you're doing, I'm sure it wasn't just overnight, but you start building a successful business, right? And you're doing great. And you're probably, your ego and your pride and everything that goes along with that is elevated, right? So take me through the journey of what brought into, like, what were you doing to compensate, like, with your struggles? I know that you talk about it in your book with, dabbling into the wrong relationships, toxic relationships, influence of drugs, alcohol. Why, if you were doing so well and you had these incredible mentors, did you open up your life to pursue those things?
So another great question. But I think a lot of us, we look at success as the things that we have, possessions, success as how people view us, really all the wrong things. And deep down inside, although I looked successful, deep down inside, I wasn't successful
Mm.
because I was dealing with pain and I was struggling with things and self acceptance and being happy with me. And it's easy to not feel when you're under the influence of drugs and alcohol. So it was easy to just do that.
Mm.
Plus, I had a pretty good income that kept coming in. So, and it was readily available. And it was no problem to just keep
Yeah.
getting it. And every time that the feeling would go away, I would seek it again
Mm.
and again and again. And I mean, looking back, I'm so grateful that I was able to beat it and I'm still alive, because most people wouldn't survive like the amount that I was doing like for years. I
Wow.
mean, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And also not having God in my life. I didn't have God in my life. I pray every single day now. And I wake up and I literally say, thank you, God, for another day. Every night when I go to sleep, I thank God for another day. I pray within the day, and prayer is powerful. And
Mhm.
man, I really am grateful for life. And you talked about ego, and it's funny because I was the most prideful, ego driven person when I was broke.
Mm.
And I like to think that I don't really have ego. I'm very confident in who I am. And confidence is a must, but there's that fine line that you don't want to cross and have ego. Think you're better than people, especially think you're better than people because you have a certain amount of followers, or because you get a certain amount of likes, or because you drive this car, because everything can be taken from you just like that. I've lost and had to rebuild my business twice. So, I mean, it's like, if you think you're somebody because of the car you drive, you're mistaken. Because again, it's like, what happens when you put your identity on a possession? What happens if something goes wrong and you lose that? Now, who are you? Right. But if you don't base who you are on things,
Mm.
then you'll be okay.
Dr. Wayne Dyer, I don't know if you've ever
Oh,
any of his.
absolutely. For sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so as soon as, like, we started talking about ego, his voice came to mind, edging
Yep.
God out, edging God out. He says that's all ego is.
That's all it is. Got to keep
And
God at the center.
yeah, so I love that. So, was it somewhere along your journey, going through those battles and just maybe saying, waking up saying, this isn't who I want to be, and then repeating those cycles? Or was it after the big coding event where you really found God?
So it was, as far as finding God, it's like I would say I put on it. I went to church all the time, especially when I lived out in
Life
Oklahoma. I mean,
church?
yeah. Is that Craig Rochelle?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I would go with the squad. I mean, every Sunday, and
Right.
I always felt I always felt a certain type of way being there. You feel
Yeah.
great. I mean, it's the house of God. And then when I lived in Arkansas, I was at church pretty much every Sunday. And but I wasn't like living in those ways.
Yeah.
So after what took place, I was just very clear that God is real.
Mm.
And it, I mean, that's when I'm 100% in belief. Where before I would kind of like dip my toe, wasn't sure, would show up, maybe I'd get clarity. But the way things took place when the coding happened, man, I'm just like, I don't know what else to say but
But
God.
God. Right. Amen.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just, I'm following your journey here, and I'm just thinking, I've been watching you from, you hear that saying, you can get on the field or you can watch from the sidelines. So because we didn't do business entwined, I was one of those wonderful people that got to watch your life build from the sidelines. And I knew a lot of the people in your circle, but I just saw exactly what you said, just a confident guy who his body was, you took very good care of it. And so for you to come at me with even the story, it's so hard to believe, because I never would have, as I'm reading your book, my eyes just fill up with tears, because I never would have believed that you were in that battle. And I remember watching you from across the gym, and every time I was on the Stairmaster watching you work out, I was listening to Stephen Furtick, or I was, praying, I was meditating, and we just never got to like connect in that, and have that conversation. That's probably why, because here I was like praying over everywhere I went, and in all the places. And I wish, that at that time, God could have planted a seed, to say like reach out to you. But I believe that everything happens for a reason. So here we are now, and
Well,
I
the
moved
seed
on.
was planted.
it
Here
was,
we here we are. I had to like fight back tears right there. I was starting to get pretty emotional.
Well, I'm just thinking, here I am. I moved to Austin, Texas, and I don't know the time length of seeing a post of yours. I'm not aware of that, but it had probably been about 4 years since like we probably kind of disconnected. I moved away from Oklahoma, and I see your story last Easter. And I literally just wanted to race up to the hospital, because here you were also in Austin. And so I want you to tell everybody about what happened to you that day, which honestly, guys, like the title of his book, this is going to tell you exactly where this came from. And so just express, if you, feel good to, that moment for you, and what took place, and what from that changed everything about your path in life.
Yeah. So it was April 4th, 2021, which was Easter. And I was living in Austin. So go to work out at a gym, went to Lifetime Fitness, and I went to one about 30 minutes away from my house because I went and met with a couple of friends to work out. So hit a leg workout. Mind you, I was what we call bulking, because I was going to start my cut April April 15th, so I can get it like, shredded for the summer, get in really good shape. But I wanted to be cut at a certain weight,
Right.
like at a like 215, 220 shredded versus 205, 210. So you got to put on some weight.
Right.
So I'm not really doing cardio at this time because I'm putting weight on, and I'm eating a ton. I was eating like 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, which that was a job in itself. And so after I worked out, there's a dude that I was with that's supposed to be good at basketball. So and I had played him in around the world. We played one time and I beat him, and he was not happy because this dude was like, he would have gone to the NBA if he didn't hurt himself. And so he wasn't happy that I beat him, so he wanted a rematch. So we go downstairs to play basketball, the three of us. He had a friend with him too. There's another good friend of mine. And there's these guys there that want to play 3-on-3. And I was the third of our group, you know, them two and me. And I didn't want to play because I was heavy, not in shape, and I had low tops, and being heavy, you're prone to rolling an ankle. So, and that hurts. Anyway, I said yes to playing. We played 3 games, and my breathing the entire time was off. And my girlfriend was watching me, and she tells me that she felt something was off. But for me, I'm not thinking anything's off like that. I'm just like, I'm out of shape.
Right.
Which, because that's true, I was out of shape, and
Right.
and I'm heavy. So we get done playing, we leave the gym, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time breathing. I'm having some pains in my chest, and get in the car, and the pains are like kicking up, and I'm having more trouble breathing. Start getting some really bad headaches. I guess I was starting to get a really bad headache. You can't have multiple headaches, right? So I'm getting a bad headache, and I stop at the gas station, probably, I don't know, maybe it's like 10 minutes from the gym roughly. Stop there to get some like Advil, which I don't take a lot, but this headache was brutal. So I'm like, I need some aspirin. So I went ahead and I got that and water to take it, and take it, start leaving. And now I'm like having a really hard time breathing, headaches getting worse, arms going numb. But I also have a pinched nerve in my neck from all the bodybuilding stuff. And so sometimes like I have to adjust my neck, you know, to like get it off the nerve. So I'm all driving, like trying to do this to, you know,
Oh my
trying to
gosh.
adjust my position.
Right. Get
But
comfortable.
yeah, but nothing is working. And I told my girlfriend, I'm like, hey, something is not right. Like something is off. You know, she knows what's going on at this point, obviously, because I'm talking about it in the car. And she asked me, does it feel like when you had your first heart attack? And I'm like, no. And then I sat there and I was like, yeah, it does. But the first time it went away in like 45 to 60 seconds. And I didn't find out it was a heart attack till having tests ran later on. But I was like, yeah, actually it does, but the pain isn't going away. And so, I mean, we're a good amount of time in now, where before, again, it was like not even a minute, up to a minute, and it went away. And it went away because my heart grew from the good side to the bad side, where it was blocked to get blood flow over there, which kept me from going into heart failure. Thank you, heart. It's crazy what the body will do to keep us alive. So anyway, I'm like, I want to go to an ER clinic. And she said, cool, let's go. Which I'm so thankful that she said that and didn't argue with me. She's like, let's go. We don't want to take any chances, right? So I get my phone out and I Google like on the maps where the closest ER clinic is. Not a hospital, but a clinic. There's one 5 minutes away. Now, mind you, living in Austin, Texas, you know how bad the traffic is there.
Yes.
It's cool how everything aligns so perfectly.
I love this part. I love that you're describing this, because when I read this, I just thought that's God also just moving.
I mean, how, like, it's just unreal. It's unreal. So yeah, I get chills thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because there was no traffic, because it's Easter, 0 traffic.
On a Sunday. Yeah.
We are on a Sunday, Easter Sunday. We get there in 5 minutes. And I parked right at the front. I run in. The doctor's like, sir, how can we help you? I'm like, I think I'm having a heart attack. And he's like, can we see some ID? And talk about it in the book, but I'm like, yo, I just told you I'm having a heart attack. Like, get me back there. What are you talking about? Let me see ID. Come on, man. And I forgot my wallet in the car. So I had to run back out to the car. Thankfully, Anna was still there, because initially I told Anna to go to the house to check on the dogs, and that I would hit her up whenever I'm ready. Because for me, I'm like, I've already had a heart attack. It'd be no big deal.
Right.
And so if this is a heart attack, no problem. So she was still there. I guess in her mind, she's like, I'm not leaving. I'm making sure he's okay. The dogs will be fine. If they poop in their crate, they poop in their crate. Like, I want to make sure you're good. So I get my ID. I run back in, give it to them. And they had me fill out the paperwork later, thankfully. But yeah, they rushed me to the back. The doctor hooked up an EKG to me. And he just looked at me and said, sir, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're suffering a severe heart attack right now. And again, in my mind, I've already had one. Like, doctors, people in the hospital, they always exaggerate stuff.
Right. So you're still just like mentally,
probably not that serious. I'll be fine. Yeah. So then they lay me down, and I mean, I'm pretty sure every single employee that was in that place was in my room, and they're giving me a ton of stuff to take and whatever. I mean, yeah, I was just following direction. But then it got to a point where, like, man, my ability to breathe was fading, and it would come in and out. the pain would come in and out, and I would be communicating with them. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better. Okay, the pain is back. And then it got to a point where like I felt myself as I was about to die. And man, it's crazy to even say that. And just, being so young, I was 35 at the time, 35 years old. And yeah, I told them, I was like, well, I guess I should say, yeah, I tell them, I was like, y'all got to do something. Please help me. Like I feel myself about to die. Please help me. And then I asked God, I was like, God, please help me. And that's where I coded.
Dark.
Yeah, it's like I went to sleep. I was out, and they said I was out for about 40 seconds.
Wow.
And then my eyes are closed, and I just hear my name, Jason. And I'm like, yeah, hello, but I can't open my eyes yet. Now, mind you, and I didn't know this at the time yet, but this is where it makes sense, right? I had 100% blockage in my widowmaker. And they call it the widowmaker because if somebody has a heart attack, somebody's about to be a widow, because people don't survive this. The heart attack was for at least a couple hours. And it's the LAD artery, which is on the left side of the heart. And that's the artery that supplies the entire body of blood flow and oxygen. So 100% blocked. So that means my body now is not getting any blood flow or oxygen through it. So I'm not able to move my body when I hear my name or open my eyes. And then I'm able to open my eyes and move my head, but I can't move my body. The doctor's like, she just saved your life. And I'm like, I look over, I'm like, you just saved my life? And I'm like dumbfounded, right? Yeah. I'm like trying to put everything together. Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I just went to sleep. And then I could move my upper body, but I couldn't move my lower body. And I'm starting to freak out. And then because again, and I didn't know this, but it's like when people suffer heart attacks or strokes, sometimes you have issues for the rest of your life in other areas. Like you go paralyzed, you can't move a leg or whatever it is. And then I can finally, they're like, sir, you got to calm down. And I'm like, I'm like going on, I can't move my legs. And then I was able to move my legs, and the paramedics were there ready to take me to the hospital, assuming I woke up. And the nurse is pretty cool. I met with the nurse that saved my life, Debbie, who I need to get her a book, but she told me the whole time that I was out. So she defibbed me, and then she was doing CPR. And the whole time that she was doing CPR, she was praying to the Lord. And even she said that she really couldn't believe that I came back, but she had faith and she was going for it. But then when it actually happened, she was like, oh my God. And what's cool about Debbie, this is another God alignment situation. Like God is like, hey, I'm aligning everything perfect for you. When I wake you up, you better wake up. And I need to write that down. I got to use that because I've never said that before. But when I wake you up, you better wake up.
Love it.
Write that down for me. No, but for real. So I know it's recorded, but yeah. So Debbie is normally a nurse at the ER in the hospital, specializing in heart attacks. She very rarely works at that location, at the ER clinic. So she was the one that was there. It's like she knew what to do, how to do it perfectly. And yeah, and so they rushed me to the hospital. And another thing about this part is I just had a massive heart attack. A lot of people, they die on their way to the hospital to get surgery.
Yeah.
Everything was, and when I tell you, like, I was so dizzy, like I was doing like this the whole time because I was just out of it. But they got me to the cath lab, they prepped me for surgery, got me in, finished the surgery, they put another stent in at that spot. They put the largest stent in that they make in that artery. And yeah, they were done in 15 minutes. And I'm back on my phone working, man. I swear, sometimes I'm like checking up on my team. They're like, yo, are you kidding me? Like, what? And man, that's so incredible. Yeah. And on the third day, remember Easter, it all happened. On the third day, they took me out of ICU and they put me into the downstairs in the regular room where we were waiting to have my heart tested. And then depending on what those scans looked like, they were going to release me. And I had no damage to my heart and pump function normal. as if nothing happened. And I walked out of the hospital on the third day.
That is,
And
that
life has
blows me away.
life has never been the same.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean,
And
here I
that's
am
it.
celebrating Easter and I'm catching up on this story, and just, I mean, gosh, it's Jesus and the third day and the same, like you literally, I feel like I'm like watching Jesus in Austin, Texas, like what is happening right now?
It was it's something special. And again, I got woken up to wake up. And I encourage you all not to have to go through something like this to wake up to the
Yes,
fact that you're still here, you have reason, you have purpose, you are worth it, all of that stuff,
yes,
And it's like when that happened to me, and mind you, I was doing pretty good in life when this took place. But a lot of times, and this is a bad place to be, we'll compare our 10% to somebody else's 90%. And it's like, I'm doing better than most, but I'm not even giving as much. It's like, because I'm doing better than most, we kind of coast, but that's not how it should be. We
right.
should always be giving our best. And I truly believe this is where the whole you're either growing or you're dying comes into play.
Mhm.
That you're either growing or dying. You can be doing great, man. You think you're doing better than most, right? But you're better than most. You only give it 20%. And so you chill, but you have so much more in you to give and to do, so much more ability that you're actually truly dying inside because you can do so much more. And that's kind of where I was. And I mean, after what happened, I've like, man, I'm taking life I'm really taking life on now.
I love that. And you wrote, it took Diane to realize that calling on your life.
It did.
And I liked how you just talked about the comparison, because that's what I wanted to lead us to next. You wrote, we won't be distracted with comparison if we are captivated with purpose. And you start talking about how after this huge, like spiritual high almost, oh, your dog, hi, sweetheart.
Oh, that's Achilles. Hey, boy.
Hi, baby.
I got the Frenchie down here, and he's guarding the door.
I saw their tug of war on your
story.
story.
Man, they're so funny.
Yeah. So cute. But yeah, you kind of, so here you are, and you're just like, thank you, God, and you're just loving on, your family and so grateful. And I'm just sure like surging with just gratitude. And then you get back in the world and you start feeling like, hey, my friend's got a plane and this person's making this million a month and this person, and you just start to feel again defeated. You're not where you need to be. And you fall into what many of us do, especially with social media, the comparison trap. So talk a little bit about that and the tools that you use to kind of battle through situations like that, because we all face it.
Oh, it's easy to go down that road, especially with social media. Mm-hmm. And the quote, comparison is the thief of joy, is so true. Unless you're one of the rare ones and you can look at others and compare to truly motivate you and only let it motivate you. But that is not easy to do. There's always exceptions, but yeah, I mean, so I got out of the hospital. I was grateful to be alive. I didn't care about possessions. I'm just so happy to be alive. I'm looking at the trees and the sky and like, man, the trees are so green today, which I'm back to that place, and it's a beautiful place to be. And this appreciation for nature and all of that, walking my dogs and going on trails and just sitting there in quiet, like listening to the wind. I mean, and I would have never done stuff like this beforehand, right? So yeah, after 2 or 3 months, something like that, I'm just kind of sitting here looking at social media and I'm like, man, I should be so much further ahead. And I'm starting to get in my head a little bit. And I'm talking to my mom, and my mom, like, she brings up the fact that something seemed a little off again. She just has those senses. I guess all moms do with their kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she was like, so her and my girlfriend brought it up, and they were just like, man, just 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever the exact was. They're like, you were just happy to be alive.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you're doing great. Stop doing that. But it's so easy to go down that path of like, I should, and get down on ourselves and lose our confidence. But we just got to remember, like, we all have our journeys.
Right.
Our journey is special. And I look at myself, right? If you're a part of the problem, you're a part of the solution. If it's going to be, it's up to me. And
Right.
so it's like, I shouldn't be farther along because I made certain choices that
Mm.
prevented me from being further along.
I love that. And that's
And
why
it's very simple.
yeah, and you actually said that. I circled it in your book. I've highlighted your book in pink.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
That you wrote, it's our choices, not our circumstances, nor our childhood traumas, nor even a global pandemic that makes or breaks us.
Exactly. And so all of those, like where I am now in life, is a result of the choices that I made back then, that before. And it's all led me to where I am today. So it's like, okay, if I want to be in certain places in the next 3 to 5 years, it's operate from this code of behavior, make these kinds of choices, and you will be there. Right. But we got to be patient. And I have a cool story about patience because, and I wish I know who this girl was, because this post has left an impact on my life. And I couldn't tell you who it was because this is when I was like a little, the ego and arrogance from back then when I first started my entrepreneurial journey. This girl made a post and it was like, it was something about patience, like patience is a virtue or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, screw that. I'm changing my wordage from what I said. Screw that. You got to go out, like, screw patience. You got to go out there and get it. Right. And her comment to me was so profound. She said, yeah, but you got to be patient, like on your pursuit to go get it. And I was like, man, I never looked at that, because we want things right now. And we're not willing to put in the work for like however long it takes. A lot of us, we're not willing to put in the work for this amount of time to actually have it happen. So it's patience on the journey to getting it. And more often than not, it's like right as we quit, we were that close to getting it. And there's the whole story on it. And there's the meme where the dude's going for the diamonds and he turns around and then the other one gets it. Like, or he was going to get the diamonds and he was literally this close and he turns around. Like we can't quit. We can't give up on ourselves. We got to keep pushing forward and just understand that our time will come, and don't play the comparison game and keep operating from the code of behavior that's going to get you those results, and don't drift. Yeah. I mean, it's
that's so true. And I just wanted to touch base on like the patience thing. That really is such a key factor, because you hear everyone say, especially like in the relationship world, like don't chase people, don't chase, success, don't chase these things, attract it. But there's honestly a balance. You have to go after things, but then you also have to trust what you're attracting back, and that God of the universe is going to give it and plan it at the right time, because it's already all designed for us. He's written everything. And I think when you just surrender that, still going after the dreams, but allowing God to move you and shift you as he sees that's going to help you grow in your life. There's just a complete like surrender in that,
I agree. Yeah. And to add to that real quick.
Yeah.
On that pursuit, you got to make sure you're careful of not drifting, because I'll tell you, if you drift, the things and people that you attract are not going to be truly aligned with where you want to go and who you want to be and who you want to surround yourself with. And I talked about that in my book I had attracted a certain person at a certain time in my life. And while she was great, she's an incredible individual, but just not aligned with where I was truly wanting to go. But I was drifting off my path. And so that's what I attracted.
I love that, because I was talking to a girl in an interview yesterday about awareness. As anyone can see through just our story here today, you went into, you were in the struggle, you went into entrepreneurship, then things were doing great, but you had a different struggle. And then you had a heart attack, which is a, physical struggle. And just like along the way, as you're moving forward, you're moving that needle, you're still getting hit with things. But I think that it all brought you to that place of awareness. And when I read the story about your ex-partner, that's kind of what I thought, because we get into that just kind of like comfort zone.
Yep.
And I could go have lunch today with a friend and they could say exactly what that girl said, and you don't think anything about it. But your awareness in that moment
Yep.
made you realize this wasn't the right relationship. This isn't serving me, and this is never going to get me to the place that I'm destined to be.
Yeah. And I'll say this, don't be afraid to let go of good for great. A
Yes.
lot of times it's like we got something, it's good, it's decent, not too bad.
Yeah.
But I was able to and willing to let that go. Yeah, it hurt a little bit, right? Because there were feelings there,
Right.
but I
Right.
knew it didn't serve me.
Mm.
So I distanced myself and kept moving. And then that brought me,
Anna.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anna,
Yeah.
who I'm with today. And I mean, just incredible.
Yeah,
So,
she's so just such a beautiful soul. God
yes,
knows exactly what he's doing. And I love
yes,
that
he
you touch
does.
base about your circles, because we get so entwined. I have like some family situations because I grew up in an orphanage. My mother gave me up, but she went on to have more children that they're still in their life. So that clearly creates a dynamic when I was given up, but they were raised by her. And there came a season where, they didn't understand why I wouldn't want to be a part of that circle, because
Right.
that's blood, that's family. Jen, what are you doing? Now, had she changed, and was living, a very not a perfect life, but just a wholesome life, a good life, a good person, then that forgiveness was there. Thanks to God, that I would have been able to rekindle that. But she was still the same person. So now I'm dealing with sisters who are dealing with toxicity and drama, and they're allowing it. And I've, tried to speak to them several times about what allowing that does. I mean, I really feel like it suffocates you, and
Yep.
it keeps you from walking in totally. I said yesterday, it's like when God parts the Red Sea, he literally is completely parting your life, and you have to be able to swim in the other ocean and jump out of that one. And
Yeah.
a lot of people have a hard time, recognizing how important your surroundings and your circle and your support system is. And I feel like you've had that. You've definitely have had that guiding you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I felt like I was ready to write a book on it, because
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of the spectrum.
Hmm.
I've had a code of behavior where I was operating in a certain way, and it
Yeah.
got me results over here, which actually caught up to me, which
Right.
led me dead on the table. Thank God I'm back, right? And during those times, I also operated from a different code of behavior where I was excelling and doing great. Just unfortunately, the devil is alive, and
Yeah.
and man, he's
Working
powerful.
overtime.
Temptation is, yeah, you got to be very mindful, and like you said, awareness
Yeah.
with everything is key.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, Jason, I know our time is up here, honey. So, tell me and tell everyone who's watching this a little bit more about how you help people now. Like, after experiencing this code and this flat line in your life, and just really experience God in such a miraculous way, what has that shifted you to do? How do you help and serve people now?
Yeah. So I mean, I help people understanding how choices will lead them to certain results.
Mhm.
I'll tell you, I don't tell people don't use drugs, don't drink. I won't do it, because at the end of the day, I'm not people's father. Now, what I will tell people is these kinds of choices will get you these results, and these kinds of choices will get you these results. And I lost my little brother to substance abuse. He was 28 years old. He passed away the day after Christmas 2019. And so I've seen it. It's been around me, not just with my brother, but it's been a part of me. And so I know what that looks like. I know what I know how it feels to want to be a part of what we think is the cool group. And a lot of times what we think is a cool group, they're doing these kinds of things, and it's not so cool.
Right.
And I have a feeling, and not to toot my own horn, but with all my tattoos and physique, like I have a certain look about me, and I feel like kids will listen to me. And even I'm a little bit older, I'll be 37 in a month and a half. I feel like a person like me can get through to kids. Not that somebody who doesn't look like me can't get through to them. I just feel like I'll be able to get to them and get
Relatable.
through.
Yeah.
Right. I'm relatable. So, I just booked a 3-day speaking tour, 7 schools, and they purchased 550 books for all the seniors in the district. I'm in talks with schools in Tennessee, and there's just a lot coming. But as far as how me and helping people, I just help people to understand their worth, that they are worth it, right? And to be aware the choices that we're making. And I also help people scale their businesses, because when I started my entrepreneurship journey, I had a trash bag of clothes and I lived in my buddy's living room. Now, one of my businesses does millions a year. And I mean, this month here is the best month I've ever had income wise. And so, yeah, I mean, coaching, life coach, author, speaker, all of it. And I have a course. I go film my course in July out in Detroit. So that'll be coming soon. And then workshop, working with me in a group setting, whether it be in person or via Zoom like we are today. And then also one-on-one coaching. So I'm doing it all.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. So you guys, I will be including all the links so you can follow him on his social media accounts. It's Tadapres,
Yep.
and his book, we'll put that in there. So if y'all want to purchase this, you can get it off of Amazon, correct? That's where I got mine. Is that the best way?
Yeah, it is the best way. And then also I got my website, jasonlnemes.com, which is my name spelled out.
Okay, great. So we will include that too. And I got teary-eyed a while ago because my brother also took his life at 28 years old. It was the substance abuse. So as soon as you said 28, that just kind of pierced my heart. And you know, I love this because, guys, like, this is someone who's gone through so much adversity, experienced so much heartache, so much pain, and has taken control of his life just by changing his choices. And I wanted to bring to you guys, like, literally people that have gone through the darkest of darks and overcome. And so, Jason, just thank you again for your presence, for writing this book, for speaking, for just literally giving your life to serve others. It's truly beautiful to watch, and I just appreciate your time today.
Yes, Jen, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I hope somebody got something from our session today, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys, take care, and we'll connect with you later. Thanks,
Bye,
Jason.
y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.